book club adventure.
Welcome back, everybody. We took a couple of weeks and we just read a whole bunch of stuff without any real plan, but we finally cracked open House of Sky and Breath by Sarah J. Maas, and we read the first 24 chapters. It is so damn good, and I am so ready to finally talk about it. What do you think so far, Becca? What's the vibe check doing?
Vibe check. All right. So first 5 to 10 chapters, I was like, okay, maybe I get why people don't like this book so much. And then by the end of part 1, no, I don't get it. Love. I'm ready.
Yeah, the only thing I can think is that people are DNFing this thing at chapter 8 or something. Because if you even get close to chapter 12, you're going to get hooked. I think chapter 15 was the one that did it for me. So good. I am also, I don't understand why people don't like it. I mean, we have 2/3 of the book left, but you know.
I mean, it's fae, murder, mystery with a little smut. What else do you need in a book?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. That's absolutely nothing.
And it's not just fae, it's a whole fucking magical kingdom.
Yeah. And they're getting into politics and rebellion. They're introducing a lot more war elements. Metaphysics, they're starting to talk about who are the Asteri, what is Firstlight, how was the universe formed?
What's the relationship with the 7 Princes of Hel? And
Yep. So we still have the awesome core that SJM is good at, but she's starting to do this. And the metaphysics and stuff, we didn't really get into that with Throne of Glass until the last book.
And we're going further back in history now, right? The end of the first book, we were like, oh, Jessica's the history keeper. And now we're like, oh, she just barely scratching the surface of it. Got it, friend.
Yeah, I am so here for this.
All right, well, enough with the vibes. Who's sponsoring this episode?
Well, Becca, I am so glad you asked. Today's episode is sponsored by a bold new addition to American entertainment. Debt Ceiling is the government game show you didn't ask for, but will somehow end up.
Ooh, I do love a game show. What's the prize?
Economic stability. Or at least the illusion of it. But only if the vibes are right for it, right? Each round, senators are going to debate whether to raise the debt ceiling again, while the clock ticks towards a catastrophic government shutdown. Easy peasy. The goal is to invent imaginary money, see how high we can raise the ceiling before the economy spontaneously combusts. Contestants get bonus points for blaming anybody but themselves.
And why should I watch?
Well, I liken this to sort of like a Jerry Springer meets Wheel of Fortune type game show but it's every contestant wears a $4,000 suit, has a lobbyist, and no one actually ever really wins.
So if that's the case, who's our Vanna White?
That depends on who you are and who you're rooting for.
We may never know.
AOC, could be AOC, could be MTG.
Well, I'm hooked.
I thought you might be, dearie. I can't say when this game show is going to air, when the next season is, but it'll be on. You just got to keep your eyes peeled on C-SPAN, and I'm sure we can all catch highlights on any news channel ever. So, Debt Ceiling, today's sponsor. Okay, game shows aside, if any of our listeners would like to join in this fun conversation, feel free to leave us a comment, throw us a review, email us at bookclubbybecca@gmail.com, or throw us a DM on Instagram. We are at Becca's Book Club Adventure, and hopefully we hear from you. But on to the books, right? So, Becca, Start us off with what happened in part 1 of House of Sky and Breath by Sarah J. Maas.
So, the story opens with a prologue where we basically meet Selena Sardanthian inside the work or death camp of Endivir. Wait, hold on. Actually, it's Sofie we meet, a rebel agent who infiltrates the Kalava death camp to rescue her younger brother, Emil. Little familiar, little confusing reading this prologue here. Sofie manages to escape with Emil and a group of children, but sacrifices herself to buy them time and ultimately gets captured by the Hind, who chains sled blocks to Sofie's feet and drops her into the ocean to die.
So after the prologue, we jump right back to Crescent City, where Selena Siddharthian is attending not the symphony. I'm sorry. Bryce and her parents are attending a ballet starring Juniper.
Through casual updates, we learn that Jessica has vanished with the contents of Griffin Antiquities, leaving Bryce now to work at the Fae Archives, and her relationship with Hunt is on pause as they try to let things settle and get to know each other a little bit. Meanwhile, Hunt is still with the 33rd and is second in command under Isaiah. Bryce's celebrity status is rising with all the inhabitants of Crescent City, except the Fae, who aren't thrilled about her new claim as heir.
No, they are not. And but after the ballet, a party rages at Rune's house to celebrate Juniper bringing down the house and being the talk of the town. Amidst the merriment, I use that word loosely, amidst the merriment, a strange fae arrives. Cormac is a northern cousin of both Rune and Bryce. He's shady as shit and has arrived to assess Bryce, his bride-to-be, because unbeknownst to frickin' anyone, the Fae Kings have decreed that the two are going to marry.
Dun, dun, dun. The night grows more chaotic when Bryce and Hunt return home to find Ethan bloody and beaten in their apartment. He's been beaten within an inch of his life and kicked out of his pack after standing up to Sabine.
Sabine be a bitch. Meanwhile, Therion, at the River Queen's command, is searching for the body of Sofie Renast at the bottom of the sea. He doesn't find her body, though, but he does find her lead blocks and the unlocked chains. Super suspicious. The River Queen redirects his mission. Find Emil.
Back in Crescent City, Rune confronts the Autumn King about selling Bryce off to Cormac, but the Autumn King won't budge because Bryce's only value to him is her ability to procreate.
And he reiterates that is also true for Rune's betrothal to Hypaxia, no matter the controversy of her bloodline, as we kind of learn that Hypaxia got the crown despite also having controversial and undesirable necromancer abilities, and having the Hind as a stepsister or second half sister.
As the Fae Archives, Bryce calls Jessica to gain information on the bust of Thur that she's trying to verify, and her lunch is interrupted by Cormac, who informs her that their union was precedented by the Oracle and that they would bring great prosperity to their people. And Bryce slams the door in his face.
Like a boss. Political tensions rise as Celestina, a new archangel, arrives in Crescent City to replace Micah. She brings with her two former members of Sandriel's Triari, Baxian and Pollux. Hunt attacks Pollux on sight, and the two end up in jail. Bryce bails him out after being called by Celestina, who seems oddly pleasant for an archangel.
Therion's investigation leads to a shocking discovery, a hidden email exchange between Sofie and Danica about Project Thur and something called Dusk's Truth. Naturally, he goes to Bryce and Hunt to find out what they might know.
Bryce is absolutely devastated by the thought of even more secrets from Danica, and in turn goes to Fury for answers. But Fury doesn't know anything. She does divulge, however, that Danica was a bloodhound.
At Bryce's apartment, Bryce, Rune, Hunt, Ethan, and Therion, whoa, what a group in an apartment, gather over lunch to discuss the latest intel. The mystery only deepens when Prince Aidas suddenly appears, casually dropping bombshells just as Cormac arrives, unannounced.
Apparently, Bryce has unknown powers. She could potentially command the armies of hell. And Cormac is a rebel agent, and he's the one who helped Sofie escape Cavala.
After some light interrogation on both sides, Bryce strikes a deal with Cormac. Bryce will help Cormac find Emil and the intel on Danica had Sofie discovered about the Asteri in exchange for the engagement being called off.
Cormac then makes his departure after convincing Rune to meet him for drinks later to talk. Bryce and Hunt depart to go back to their respective jobs. Rune departs to meet up with Declan and Flynn, who he immediately tells everything to and who immediately offer their services because they're good dudes. And Therion heads on back to the Istris River.
As Bryce and Hunt disappear to go back to their jobs, they maybe take a little side quest and realize maybe they can't make it to the next holiday before they get deeper into their relationship. But after Therion leaves, Ethan blows off some steam and is playing around with Danica's old sword and ends up destroying the coffee table just as Bryce returns home to get her ID badge. In the rubble of Danica's old coffee table is a stack of papers, which must have been hidden in the secret compartment, filled with information and theories about Firstlight, the origin of the world, and what the Asteri actually are, and Dusk's truth.
Putting a pin in that, we go to the bar where Rune is meeting with Cormac. Rune eventually agrees to help the rebellion and use his mind-speaking gift to reach out to a mysterious contact named Agent Daybright, who is very, very close to the Asteri, apparently. And this allows Rune to begin a covert correspondence and become Agent Knight.
After a long day of dealing with Byaxin, Hunt goes back to the apartment where Bryce blows his mind. After finally falling asleep after all the excitement, Hunt has an unsettling dream encounter with Apollyon, the seventh demon prince known as the Star Eater, who tells Hunt that he and Bryce need to unlock their powers because war is coming, and Apollyon doesn't want to lose this time.
The next day, on their way to continue learning about and training their starborn powers, Rune and Bryce are ambushed by Reapers, who are allegedly sent by Apollyon. I don't know what this dude's game is. Anyways, the Reapers take Rune. Okay, so my show notes say Bryce cheeses after them, but what I meant to write is that Bryce chases after them, but is surrounded by even more Reapers. Only Cormac's timely arrival saves them, and then allows Bryce to use Rune's Star Sword to kill some of the Reapers, who, by the way, are already dead. And that's where part 1 ends. Can I just say that it is a little bit of a mindfuck recapping 1/3 of a big-ass book?
A, you did a phenomenal job. B, there was a lot of content.
Yes. Especially with the beginning of the book, because not only do you have to recap the plot, you actually have to recap just the groundwork, the new world building, the new characters, and that, oh, goodness.
Although I feel like the first 5 chapters of this book we're like, hey, yeah, are you still reading this? Yeah, I think you're still reading this. Didn't learn a whole lot in those first 5 chapters, but we got there.
No, I'm trying to remember back to Throne of Glass, and I'm trying to remember back to Akatar. Was in the first 1 or 2, maybe even 3 books, did SJM always kind of have a slow start to each of the books? No? Okay.
Akatar feels fast because it starts off with her out in the woods shooting a wolf. And then chapter 2, I think she's already in the Fae Spring Court.
Yeah, I think you might be right. If it's not chapter 2, it's definitely chapter 3. Yeah. Okay. So much to get into here. Here's my very first question. Is Sofie alive? Do you believe that Sofie is alive?
Okay, so what we do know is that Thunderbirds were killed because of their powers, because they were too great, because they can use energy and redirect it in various different formats. Is that a correct summation? Okay.
I think that's a good summation.
Okay. Um, and so the Hind chains her up and drops her to the bottom of the ocean, and we just find the chains at the bottom of the ocean with no signs of struggle per Therion. So my gut says yes, she's alive. She used the power of the motion of the ocean and escaped somehow, even though I think primarily they use starlight power.
You know, that's fascinating. I had not even in any way, shape, or form considered that she used her ability to channel pure energy to like unlock the chains around her feet herself. In no world did I think that that is smart. You're smart.
Because, well, why would you think that? Because what we're displayed by her powers in that prologue is electrical ability, right? Like she brings the people into the puddle basically and electrocutes them, and that's how she escapes the first round of people.
Which also is so badass. So
So
cool.
badass. Um, so I think we get more of this electrical starlight power formation from her, but then the way they describe it is that it can be used in various different formats. So why not the unlocking of a lock or the changing of a current?
Yeah, I had two theories. Either she escaped and is alive, or someone beat Therion to her, recovered her dead body, and is doing like experiments on her because she is a thunder. I can't really think of who would do that or why, because all of her other lineage has simply been executed.
Well, it doesn't seem like anyone really wants to kill her at this point for her Thunderbird powers. They want to kill her for her intel.
Yeah, the information, which we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Okay, so everybody's becoming a rebel.
Yep.
That's what we learned in the first 24 chapters. Sofie is a rebel. Cormac is a rebel. Emil's kind of a free agent, but obviously he loves his sister and is going to go rebel somehow. Bryce and Hunt are going to team up with the rebels, at least to get the engagement off. Rune is teaming up with the rebels to talk to Agent Daybright. Agent Daybright. Who the fuck is Agent Daybright? Um, and then Declan and Flynn are just like, "Hey, Rune, you're gonna turn rebel. We got your back, bro." So like everybody's a rebel. So okay, in that rebels are be assembling.
You said something interesting about Emil loves his sister because obviously, but also Emil hasn't been with his sister in a long time and they've been in death camps. And they had an interaction. She gets him out of the death camp. He does seem happy about that, but otherwise, outside of the prologue, we have not met Emil.
So you think he's a free agent in truth?
I think so. And I think that's why he's so critical right now because how do we know that he really loves his sister? And how is that good enough to be a rebel?
Okay, so all right, taking what you just said with the fact that you also think we both think that Sofie is alive, what the F is their dynamic going to be? Are we going to have some type of brother sister showdown, or are they going to team up with like Bryce in the hunt for this information that Danica had?
Be a showdown, but I do think there is going to be a very emotional, like, you left me, fuck you kind of showdown at some point. Maybe in a Thunderdome to fit their power style, but there's going to be a heart to heart of, I think when you leave a death camp, you probably need therapy, right?
I would think so. Yeah. I mean, Emil much more than so. Sofie was only there for like 2 weeks. Probably still need therapy after 2 weeks, but I think Emil was there for like
Years.
2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not only does he need therapy, he needs to be taught how to eat.
As like a 10-year-old,
Yeah.
like by the time he gets let out, he's 12, I think.
12 or 13 or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Talk about childhood trauma. I think that hits
Yeah.
the scale.
We've got it pretty good. Okay. So staying with the rebels, who do you think Agent Daybright is? All we know, all we know is that Agent Daybright is a female based
I have
upon
two
the
theories.
communication with Room. And what?
One, a deflected Asteri, so someone who's knows what their group, the leading group, is doing is wrong and has deflected already, but is playing the game so they can stay in contact with information. Or two, I wonder if it's actually one of the 7 princes, maybe a princess, who just happens to be able to walk the world.
Do you think that Rune's mind talking ability can cross planets?
We don't know where Daylight is, right? Daybright? I don't get the sense she's Midgard side.
Here's my theory. And this is going to open a big can of worms. I think Agent Daybright is Celestina.
I'm processing that slowly.
I
Mind
don't know.
melted.
I don't know why. Do we remember what Celestina's power is?
I don't think it's been introduced yet.
Oh, anyways, she is introduced as so, and for the longest time when I was reading her, I was like, this is a ruse. We can't trust this. There's no archangels that are good. But then we get the whole backstory of how Celestina was like best friends, like covertly with Shahar, and was trying to buy Hunt's freedom for millennia,
Yep.
and has so much empathy for him, for Hunt, which on some level means she has to have empathy for the rebellion because that's what Hunt was involved in. That's what Shahar was involved in. And then we find out that Agent Daybright is female, at least appears that way to Rune, and has some sort of in. So, I mean, the rebels think thinks that Agent Daybright has an in with the Asteri, but all we really know is that Agent Daybright has enough information to know how the war is going to go against the rebellion, which very well could be an archangel thing. And then that makes me want to trust Celestina and get rid of my like paranoia that she's actually bad.
Just need to like take that in a little ball and throw it away, right? We're like,
Yeah.
nah, we're gonna like her. We started to like Micah, and then he fucked everything up.
Yeah. Micah shoved some dildos up some places without any lube, and he's just a jerk. But I get good vibes from Celestina. I might be hardcore disabused.
I want to dislike her. And each time, each chapter, each onion layer we get through, I'm like, you seem better. I think you're a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
I like this theory though, that Agent Daybright is Celestina. It connects a lot of dots.
If she's not, if Agent Daybright is not Celestina, do you think that we have met? I mean, authors will largely throw characters at you and then make a reveal later. Cormac is an amazing one. We meet Agent Silverbow in the beginning, and he is this beautiful male who is full of empathy and love for Sofie. And then we meet Cormac, and he's just an effing dick.
Yeah.
What a jerk. But actually, he's the same person. So I have to think that if we're being introduced to Agent Daybright, we already have met this person. So if it's not Celestina, do you have any theories on who it might be? I liked your idea of of a Hell princess. That's very fascinating to me, even though we haven't met any Hell princesses yet.
Well, we've only met princes from 6 and 7. We haven't met the other lesser evils.
That's true. Yeah.
And we know that the demons are in contrast to the Asteri. And the Astaris are angels. In the classic, the devil is a fallen angel.
How? What about this? Agent Daybright is Hypaxia. In book 1, Hypaxia, we don't know who she is until the summit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then she just like saves the world.
Mm-hmm.
Right? She's not on screen, she's not on page. but she's really, really important. Okay, fast forward to book 2. Hypaxia has only made a tangential appearance when Rune confronts his father, right? But they're still supposed to be married, which means Hypaxia is still an important figure, but she's not in the story. So is this how she's in the story?
Maybe. I mean, she could also come back in other chapters, but I do like that too. It doesn't fit with her necromancy skills that we've learned with. She has a lot of skills.
She's got some skills with the Z, that's for sure. Okay, what about the Viper Queen? I don't know if that one fits as well. Nah. Okay.
Snakes and fire? Nah.
Okay. All right. You mentioned princesses of Hell. Prince Aidas just comes in with truth bombs, and then the big Star Eater Apollyon himself just starts coming in and screwing stuff up.
Okay,
And they don't seem to be.
scene.
Which one? Which one? The Dream or the Reaper?
The Dream is really fucked up.
Yes. What's their? There has to be a game that they're playing, and I don't know what it is because they're not working together. Like maybe they are working together, but they're not presenting themselves as working together.
I was gonna say they're not working against each other. Like their motives don't seem to be directly in opposition.
I would have to imagine that if you are going to be playing this celestial game of chess, as it were, you have to be working with allies. Like, I don't know how you can take over everything that is the cosmos by yourself. I would imagine you got to have allies, and your allies are going to be your brothers in hell, right? Well, some of them. So that begs the question. Obviously, the Princes of Hell want to take over the world, the universe, the cosmos, the everything. And in order to do that, they have to take down the Asteri, right? That stands to reason. So this Danica secret is like who are the Asteri? Where did they come from? Type of crap. You have any thoughts on that?
I think it's interesting you say that the princes want to take over Midgard, because the way that I feel like the narrative is playing is not that they want to take over, but that they want to right what should have been normal. Because I feel
Expound on that.
I don't think they want to lead it. I don't think they want to take control of it, but I think they want the rights to come and go from it, and the Astari are blocking that right for whatever reason, and they're looking for a peaceful solution, and that peaceful solution is war with the Astari. Because the Astari are the direct problem. They can live in harmony with the rest of the world, though.
Okay, so that's interesting. All right. They don't want to replace the Asteri. They just want to remove the Asteri because the Asteri are a blocker. I like that.
That's the vibe I'm getting. I could be wrong, obviously.
Okay. Okay. All right. So I'll rephrase. Like the Princes of Hell want to remove the Asteri for some motive. So that begs the question, what are the Asteri? Like, we know that they're humanoid forms where the entire power of a star lives inside them. Something like that.
Right? And I get angel-esque vibes from them, but maybe that's just because the angels report directly from them.
Something like that. So are the Asteri fallen stars, sort of like the concept of a fallen angel?
I could get down with that.
Do you think that they were created, or do you think that that's a bad way to phrase it. Were they original to existence, or after existence was made or whatever, were they then a construct somehow?
I think they're a construct, and I think that's why the princes want them gone.
I don't like the Asteri.
No.
I mean, we're not supposed to like the Asteri. Do you think... I've been trying to think of what Firstlight is. And since we're talking about the Asteri have like the power of a star inside of them. Is that what Firstlight is? Because it's different than Starborn, which is also almost like the power of a star. And given that Bryce supposedly has all these powers.
Other powers?
we have to assume that the starborn power is more than just blinding light. You have to be able to do shit with it. And so then how does that differ from the star power that the Asteri have? And then how does that differ from Firstlight? Or is it all the same shit? Especially then
I'm
we have the
inclined,
Thunderbird concept where they can control pure energy that almost looks like light.
right? I feel like it all has to be the same thing. We're all hinting around the same things, and knowing her writing style, I feel like they're going to come together, and we'll eventually probably know in the third book how they're all related together.
This is I want to be in this book for just the vibes because it's really good. And we're finally getting Bryce and Hunt like getting it down. But this metaphysics and like political crap is so fascinating to me.
Yeah.
Uh and if it's fascinating to you, that must mean it's really fascinating.
Listen,
Because
I
you're no
might read for vibes, but I do love the plot line in the background of it. I just might not be able to tweeze out details very well.
okay.
Because, like, I missed the star power of the Astaris.
Yeah, they've this is like a little detail that like gets thrown at us all so many times, but always as almost like a throwaway line. It's just like they are it. Regelis, right, is the one that calls Bryce at the end of book one, and he's he's just a being that houses the power of a star. And then like they move on from it. So like there's no discussion, there's no deep dive in the book. It's always some throwaway line that they give us. And all I can ever think is, how is that different than what Bryce has? How is that different than what Firstlight is?
Is that
You know?
why the Astari didn't kill her? Is because maybe she is Astari?
Okay. If that's your logic, how is the Starborn gift and the Astari's power different from what the Thunderbirds can do? Because they're obviously killing off the Thunderbirds. Why are they like afraid of one but not the other?
Are the Thunderbirds humans or Fae? Fae?
Allegedly Fae, but then again, Sofie is like half and half.
Human. Okay.
Yeah.
Same situation. Ugh. Maybe because the Starborn was so rare? Because it sounds like it hasn't really cropped up in quite a few.
At least not to this amount.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, oh man, I need to know what's going to happen next. It's like, it's a little torturous. And it's awful because I started reading Fourth Wing because somebody wants to read the most recent book and needs me to catch up. So now I've got Fourth Wing that I'm halfway through, and I've got Crescent City that I'm a third of the way through, and I got to play this juggling act.
Where
What
in
do you
the fourth wing are you? Gauntlet?
No, 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 no. We are like the day after the oh shit, what's it called when they actually bond with the dragons?
Thrashing or threshing?
The threshing. So we're like the morning after the threshing when they're at breakfast and everybody suddenly wants to sit with uh Violet.
Violet.
Yeah. And she gets the two dragons. Spoiler alerts. It's good. But okay, so what's happening in part 2?
What's the title of part 2?
The Abyss,
Ho ho ho.
I think.
That's right, yep. Because it was the chasm. And now it's the abyss. Which, why was this part called the chasm? Did you pick up on that?
Yes. Obviously they are named after the 7 levels of hell.
Okay.
So I think the chasm is level 5, and I think that is Prince Aidas's level. And so the only thing I can think of is that it was like a little hint that Prince Aidas was coming back, which I totally didn't pick up on until after the fact.
I thought he was 6 for some reason, but okay. So is the abyss 6 or 4? Are we moving forward or backwards?
No, let me load faster, y'all.
Well, while it's loading, I think in our next part, I think we'll find Emil. Dead or alive, I'm not sure, but we'll find Emil. I don't think we'll find Sofie till part 3.
Okay. I would agree with that prediction. And I think that when we find Emil, there's going to be some type of weird showdown with I'm sorry, the leader of the rebel people trying to find Pippa. Yeah, I think there's going to be a little bit, maybe not an ultimate showdown, but there's going to be some type of confrontation with Pippa. They're going to be trying to find a meal at the same time. I think that some shit is going to go down between Hunt, Baxian, and Pollux in some way, shape, or form. Either Baxian is playing a game or Pollux is going to pull some shit.
Characters have 3-ish names usually. They have a first, a last, a Nick, and sometimes some more.
I don't think that anything is really going to happen with the whole rebel thing.
No. I do
No.
think Bryce will learn a new power.
Do you think the demon princes make a return in part 2? Because we thought that was going to happen in book 1, and then we were sorely disappointed.
I don't know if they'll show back up in part 2, but listen, I'm holding out for Bryce and Aidas.
Oh, I'm here for your theory on that one. I don't know why. Okay. So this was going to be a question. What is your favorite part of this book so far? And I'm going to go ahead and answer. One of my favorite parts is Prince Aidas just showing up in cat form.
Just getting pets from Ethan on the couch, and Bryce freezes and is like, what the fuck's a demon prince doing in my apartment? And everyone's like, what? That's a cat. She's like, no, it's not.
No, that ain't no cat, y'all. And then when Aidas is like just talking, I don't know why, but he started talking and I immediately thought that he transformed into his like demon prince form. But no. He stayed in cat form and he's like jumping from the table to the chair to the counter to the floor, weaving in between everybody's legs and giving little like sarcastic purrs.
Yep.
What a great dude. I love him.
It's phenomenal scene.
In every way, there is a little bit of a theme with like all of these characters kind of flirting with Bryce.
Yes.
Right? Therion like calls her legs and wants to go through her underwear drawer all the time, which like kind of creepy, but also it's all in just fun and good jest because nobody ever really makes a move or does anything. And then I think it's Flynn. I think Flynn is the other one that like flirts with Bryce a lot. And then obviously we have Hunt. But then Prince Aidas doesn't really flirt with her. It's almost like they're an item. It's already predetermined in his head.
Exactly. He doesn't need to flirt with her to show his claim.
I love him.
Pretty confident they never get together. I'm pretty confident it's Hunt and Bryce to the end, but in my alternate universe, it's Bryce and Aidas.
A little bit like Willow and Gray.
Right? I'm never going to give up, be okay with Hunt just coming right back into the picture and Bryce, none of that discussion over the possible flipping of sides. No, we'll just flip over it.
I have another favorite moment, but do you have any favorite moments?
Oh, I think I've enjoyed learning more about Therion this time. He is so self-centered, but then also like is in this really weird relationship with the queen's daughter where she is coming and soliciting for sex and he says, no, thank you. After lusting after Bryce all day.
Yeah, I don't think she's really, I don't know. I'd change how you phrased that. She's not coming to solicit for sex. She's like showing up to solicit for sex because Therion is hoarding that.
Yep.
But you're right. I like how he's sort of become a main character instead of a side character. That was a good change. One of
also,
my very
Rune, I think it's chapter 3 where Rune's got someone sitting on his face. That whole situation is hilarious.
Oh yeah, like the little sexy nymph.
Yes.
Yeah, that was funny. And then he totally gets blocked by Declan or Flynn coming in and be like, you got to get downstairs. Our sonar picked up some shit.
Right. His narrative of like, I know 3 things to be true. Life is really good right now. It goes through a list. And life is really good right now.
And he's not wrong. I think the chapter ended with Cormac coming. That was when Cormac showed up. And I think the chapter ended with Rune was like, and he knew 3 more things to be true. Everything's screwed up. That was really good writing. I liked
Yes.
that. That was good. I think the best part of this entire book so far is a tiny little throwaway moment, but all I can think is to see this on screen in like a TV show or something is when Hunt and Bryce are about to get it on. Bryce is about to go down on Rune, late at night or whatever. Two things. One, Ethan is absolutely hilarious, yelling through the wall about how y'all should be louder. I didn't hear that time.
Yep.
But more to the point, before anything happens, you get this little scene where Syrinx jumps off the bed and trots over to the bathroom and kicks the bathroom door shut with its hind legs to get away.
Yep.
And that killed me.
Such good writing. I feel like almost every part in this book so far could be a season, a TV season.
I'm liking this. Do we have any least favorite parts?
The prologue. Prologue was where I was like, I don't think I'm going to like this book now. And
That's interesting. I liked the prologue. I hated like the first 5 proper chapters.
I think I was so distraught that we started off with a character we didn't know. And I was like, no. And then it was too much like Start of
Selena.
Glass. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, I've read this book. No.
Yeah, well, I think part of the reason why I didn't like the book in the beginning is because it was like Selena and Endovir followed by Selena at the symphony. And I was like, dude, SJM, come up with some new material. Let's go. But it got good. I mean, other than the slow start, I can't really think of anything that I don't like so far.
I think that's a win.
Yeah. Really good. And I guess we're going to read part 2 next.
I'm stoked.
So I think it's time to put a bookmark in it for us now.
I think that's a good plan. And we will see you all next time for book part 2.
All right. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Bye.
See ya.